When I was little, we used to go to a soft play. I think anyone who doesn't live in the UK might be a bit confused. It's what we call those indoor play areas. Those ones with the squishy mats for flooring, the net walls, those weird curved steps everyone tried to slide down but failed to do so. Anyway, this specific one was really big. If I went to the very far wall, I couldn't see my parents, sat being bored drinking coffee in the waiting area reserved for the adults. It really felt like true childhood freedom. Adventure that didn't really compare to anywhere else, because you were always around your parents. Whether you played in your garden or at the park, they were always within earshot, so being in this maze-like place felt so cool. I would always end up climbing higher. I like the lower levels, don't get me wrong, but something about being up high and getting up there all by myself really tickled that exploration itch. This one time I reached the very top level, and there were no other kids there. I was so high I could reach out of the netting and touch the ceiling. Seeing the normally dark and busy areas of the lower levels suddenly be all bright and lit up felt so alien. It was great being in a place that my mum and dad weren't allowed to be. I made my way to one of the far edges and found a part of the soft play that had been cornered off. An inch of dust covered everything. Some loose balls from the ball pit had somehow made it over there. All the bright colours were faded. It was empty, untouched, and I really wanted to go there. Not to play, just to explore, see what else I could find in a place none of the other kids had ever been. I can't remember how long I sat there looking at it, but eventually I realised that I really was the only one there. No other children were on the top level. My anxiety got the better of me, and I quickly rejoined my parents. How do you feel when you look at this image? What about this one? And this one? Do you feel scared? Nostalgic? Both? All these images are from the concept trailer Playground, written and animated by Rodrigo Sousa. Released on April 6th, 2023. If you watch the trailer, it's pretty clear what the plot's going to be. We follow three children. We follow two children. One we will call Yellow and one we'll call Blue, as they travel through a world that is entirely made up of childhood-themed places and inhabited by terrifying monsters. When the trailer was dropped, the internet imploded. As of right now, it has nearly 7 million views and 15,000 comments, every single one exclaiming how good it is and how badly they want it to become a feature film. But despite this, nobody, and I mean nobody, has made a video about this trailer. Seriously, if you look it up, you'll get a few fan edits, some reactions, all from 3 years ago. No one has talked about it, but it's so applicable to this weird nostalgic phase that the world is going through right now. So why has no one talked about it? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't think it's because people have nothing to say. I think it's because Playground is doing something that's surprisingly difficult to put into words. Because Playground is the perfect example for a question that has been bugging me for a very, very long time. Why do we find nostalgia scary? Nostalgic horror can be described as the way nostalgia forces you to remember things, that both comfort and terrify the smaller version of you. Our inner child that we all still have is forced awake ever so slightly. Try think back to when your clothes and accessories were all themed around your favourite animal, and you carried your teddy bear around with you everywhere. Think of your favourite cartoons, your favourite toys, your favourite place to play. Is it comforting? Perhaps melancholy? Now think back to what you were scared of. Would you hide from the monster under your bed? Under your bed covers where you thought you were safe? Were you scared of heights? Getting lost in a place you don't recognise? Being away from your parents? Playground doesn't just turn those childhood places or things into horror, it turns childhood feelings into horror. In Playground, all your childhood fears become true. At least for me, my imagination was both a blessing and a curse. The same imagination that convinced me a cardboard box was a spaceship, it also convinced me that vampires were real. As adults, we remember happier memories through nostalgia, but we forget how frightening childhood really was. Playground combines these ideas and reminds us that childhood was just as frightening as it was comforting. The locations you love to play in are so scary when your parents aren't there as a safety net. They become warped and liminal, the creatures that inhabit them, the monster that is under your bed, the thing in the dark, Krampus, I guess, the gigantic stuffed toys, the eldritch bat monster, the famous two-faced tiger that does, that. What this trailer is a juxtaposition, combining the warm, fuzzy memories with the dark and scary, and especially the gory. This happens across media. It's a massive horror trend and always has been, taking safe and memorable things from your childhood and using them to disguise our nightmares. Dolls, bunny rabbits, clowns. Playground is kind of the ultimate version of this idea. I'm going to bring up 2 ways Sousa uses this juxtaposition. Firstly, he uses confetti to replace blood and gore. It's something that has definitely been done before, but it's an idea that fits in with the vibes and the world building so well. Having the knowledge of this particular creative choice makes this image I showed you at the beginning much more creepy. It's the perfect example of disguising horror with something a little more child safe. My second example is slightly less concrete. It's a bit of a theory. A film theory! Right at the beginning of the trailer, you see inside the big lizard play sculpture, where yellow and blue seem to be hiding from whatever this is. All of the monsters you see later on in the trailer are drawn on the walls, including Blue's teddy bear. Now I believe that Blue's teddy is alive, and is one of the monsters that will be attacking the duo, representing the disguised horror aspect that we see with the confetti gore and the rest of the trailer. I do have evidence for this outlandish theory, by the way, because not only do we see it alongside all the other monsters, but look how he's sitting. He's definitely alive, right? Also, his facial expressions change between shots. You can't get anything past me, Sousa. I've figured out your plot twist before the film is even released. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a part of my story that I didn't tell you. Something that kind of ties all of my thoughts together. After I left and went back to my parents, I never forgot about that area, and that feeling to explore never left me. We went back to that soft play a few more times. I specifically went to go and look for it, but I never did find that cornered off area again. It was probably just reopened and I didn't notice, or I was confusing it with a different play area in a completely different building. But even now, I never forget that feeling, and if you connect with my story in any way, I don't think you did either. The feeling to explore a new place that you've never seen before. A place that feels so familiar yet alien. Slides that tunnel on forever, ball pits as wide as oceans filled with unknowable entities and creatures born from your imagination, both beautiful and nightmare fuel. To explore a place both scarily and nostalgically vast. When you're that small, everything else seems so much bigger. You're not climbing 3 or 4 stories, you're climbing hundreds, higher and higher until you feel like you're above the clouds. You feel special, but when you've explored so much and there's no longer adults to protect you, when you grow up and you realize that you have to do the rest of your journey on your own, you feel frightened.